Hello everybody, welcome to JoPat Tech Guru. In today's session, I'm going to discuss regarding code first approach using MVC 5. This is as a part of entity framework tutorial. I have already uploaded code first, database first, as well as model first approaches, wherein you can understand all the basic things related to the entity framework. Once after going through all those videos, if you see this, you'll be having a clear understanding. If you have not subscribed yet to my channel, please do subscribe and click on the bell icon to get the notifications of my new videos. So let us start the discussion. What is code first approach? The code first approach of the entity framework helps you to develop your application by domain driven design approach. Here we are mainly concentrating with respect to the domains, with respect to the classes. It is different from data-driven programming in which data controls the business logic and complete application built around the database schema. So in domain-driven design, developers can focus on core domain and domain logic and can start working with classes as per your domain requirement. So no need to create the database first. Whenever you write the entire program and execute it, all the magic is getting done by the entity framework, and it is going to generate the database accordingly. So classes or the entity data models are going to get communicated with the database through the code first approach, and entity frameworks help you to implement the same. What are the advantages of the code first approach? So here, focus on the domain logic than database creation. So you don't have to worry about the database designing part. All the databases are going to get created, and you have to just concentrate mainly on the logic so that you can solve the entire project. It is faster in coding. You can start coding even if the database is not ready or if you don't have knowledge about database management. It is easy to make changes with the model classes rather than to databases. So it becomes difficult for you to interact with the databases every now and then. Rather than that, you can just go to the model classes as they are the part of your application, and you can just go and change it very easily. So the code first API of entity framework will automatically create the database and map their relation with model classes. No need to edit and update the designer model, that is .edmx file in the Visual Studio. Everything will be done by the entity framework itself. So these are the few of the advantages. So let us see the practical implementation of the code first approach. For this, I'm opening Visual Studio. Let me again go for a new project. I'm choosing ASP.NET Web Application.NET Framework. Give the name as Code First Entity Framework Demo. Choose the MVC template. Currently, I'm working with .NET Framework 4.7.2. The environment is prepared and the Solution Explorer opens all the model, view, controller, the standard project structure for the MVC application. To respect the time, I have already created the employee and the department classes. So let me create a first class here. Add new item. Choose the class. Give the name as employee.cs. So within this, I want to add a few properties here. This is an employee class. I have created employee ID, name, age, department ID, and department. So all are public properties. So this name is the one in which you are having. Name is the one in which you are having the name of the employee, and employee ID refers to the unique employee IDs which are there within the entire table. age, department ID, and a department returns department. So unless otherwise we create a department class, it is going to show us the error. So let me create one more class called as department. I want to relate the employee as well as department class. So give the name as department. So in the department class, we have got department ID, department name, and I collection of employees. Here, as we are going to store a number of employees in the particular department, they are getting connected. So I'm trying to relate both employee as well as department. So just observe that you are working with the same namespace. So now the error is gone in case of employee because you are there in the same namespace. Next is we have to go for manage Nuget packages, add the entity framework reference. So search for entity in the browse. You'll be getting list of entity framework related Nuget packages. Choose entity framework and click on install. It will be not there in the install section. So choose this entity framework, click on install. Accept the license. So you can see that in the references, it has added the entity framework with SQL Server. Fine. So now let me close this, come back. Now it's a time to create the database context. Let me add a new class. So let us give the name as employee DB context. You can see that we are creating an employee DB context. Within this employee DB context constructor, which inherits DB context. So here system.data.entity namespace is not there. That's why it is currently showing you the error. So include system.data.entity. DB context is main class. I have already discussed in my previous videos also. So if you want more definition about this, click on this go to definition. You can see that there are so many different kind of constructors which are already built in. So I'm using one of the constructor here. Base of employee DB context. This is ultimately the connection string, which we need to provide it in the web.config file. Then there are two DB sets which represents employee as well as department. Pluralization for both employee as well as department. So we'll be getting employees and departments. Next, coming back to the web.config here, as you have already included the entity framework, Nuget package reference, you are getting this section name here. Now below this, let me add the connection string. Add name, same employee DB context. This is the name which we have given it in the base constructor. So the same thing, I'm using it here. Next, after this, we have to provide the connection string. First of all, data source. Data source is equal to, come back to your SQL server, connect to the database engine, copy the server name, paste it here. Next, we have got initial catalog. Currently, I would like to give employee DB. You can give any database name. If you want to give a new database name, you can give it, or you can want to give the existing database name also, you can give it. Currently, I'm giving a database name which is not present in my list. So I would like to give employee DB 1. Okay. Next, after this initial catalog, integrated security is equal to SSPI. There are many type of security things which you can keep on adding it. Sometimes we used to add integrated security equal to true, sometimes trusted connection, and here I'm using SSPI. Next, after this, there is a provider name. So you have to give system.data.sql client. So our connection string is ready. If you are unable to see here, let me just put it in the second line. This is my data source. This is my database name. This is the security. Then this is the provider name. Please give all the things properly and make sure you're not missing any of the things related to the semicolon or colon or any of the standard things within the syntax. Now we have to understand I need to add one more class here. This class name, I would like to give it as employee initializer .cs. Okay. So before this, let me go back to the PPT here. There is one of the things which we need to install, we need to understand, that is seed the database with the test data. Seed data to initialize the database, and initialize class should be derived from one of the following class. Either you have to go for drop create database always with employee DB context. This will always drop and create the database when you run the application. Or you can go for drop create a database if model changes with the employee DB context. So this will drop and create the database only if there is any change in the model. So currently, with respect to my application, I'm using drop again. I have to include using system.data.entity. So here drop. There are two options here. Currently, I'm using the first one. And let me give the employee DB context. Now, we are having one of the standard function called as seed. So we are going to override that. So for that, we are using void seed. So base of seed will automatically come. I don't want this. Let me create the departments here. And I would like to store new list of departments. I would like to add a few departments here. So let me take new department. So department name, mechanical department. Let me remove the comma and semicolon here. Electrical department and computer science department. Fine. I have got some 3 departments here. Next, we have got departments dot for each loop. With the lambda expressions, I'm going to bind this now. So this goes to context dot departments of dot add into bracket x variable, and whatever the changes are there, I'm going to change it. I'm going to save it. Next, same thing with respect to employee also. Let me write it. I'm going to create again variable employees equal to new list of employee new employee name equal to Lalita, age 25, department ID 1. Similarly, let me create a few employees. I have got few employees here. So let me take out the last comma, semicolon at the end. So department ID, I would like to just give it in a random way. Now again for employees start for each loop. X goes to context dot employees dot add of X. Then context dot save changes. Context dot save changes. So one is for the department and one more is for the employees. So now our employee initializer class is ready. So now totally we are having 3 classes, mainly employee.cs, department.cs, and employee db context.cs. The fourth one I have added is employee initializer, in which I'm storing all the data. Now save this, come back to the web.config file. As you can see that we have got all the entire things which are already getting loaded for the particular web.config file. We have added the connection string. Similarly, we have to add the context for the employee initializers class also. So for that, I'm including entity framework tag. Inside this, I have got contexts. Inside this context, what is the type of the context here? Whatever your application name is there. So what is my application name? Code first EF demo. So I can take it from here. Anywhere you can take it. And what is the name of the models? Here I have got models dot employee db context, and the same assembly name I need to give it. So please observe that you should give the correct information here. Otherwise, your program will not run properly. First of all, your model name, which is referring to employee DB context, and the assembly name. Now, inside this, we have got database initializer. The type of this is, again, code first dot models dot employee initializer. Just to check the spelling and give it properly. And again, the assembly name. Again, the assembly name. End it. End the database initializer tag. And one is for context. And again, I have to close it for one more for contexts. Initializer. Tag was not closed. Context, I'm closing it here. Context, I'm closing it here. And the database. Okay, double quotes. Sorry, I missed the double quotes. Okay. So now after this entire thing, so there will be a default connection. Okay, default. Okay, I need to add that. So after this, I have got default connection factory, in which I have to add system dot data dot entity dot infrastructure dot SQL connection factory and comma entity framework. So this is the default connection factory. We are adding it. And then below that, we are having the providers. So there is a provider invariant name system dot data dot SQL client. Then type equal to system dot data dot entity dot SQL server dot SQL provider services comma entity framework dot SQL server. Then end the particular tag. So just make sure you have given all the things properly. So there is entity framework. One second, SQL provider, data services. There is a comma here. Sorry, there is a comma here, and then entity framework dot SQL server. These are the few things which I need to take care whenever I am giving the initialization with respect to the employee data initializer. Entity framework dot SQL server with the double quotes. So your web.config is ready now. So totally in web.config, you can just keep on checking the things. First is connection, that is your configuration section, which contains the connection towards the entity framework. Next is the connection string with your employee DB context. Next is entity framework contexts, in which you are going to connect with the employee DB context as well as the SQL client. And rest of the things are automatically getting generated. That is app settings and system.dom, everything. Now, as we have installed the entity framework, we have added all the models, we have added all the employee initializer, and we have done the initialization in the web.config file. Now it's a time to create the controllers. So for that, let me go for adding a controller here. We have to choose MVC5 controller with views using entity framework. So click on add. What is the model class name? Here, I would like to choose from this list department. What is the context? Employee DB context. Automatically, it is going to take the controller name as department's controller. Click on add. Okay. Go for the properties. Check the assembly name here. Come back to the web.config and make sure you are having the same assembly name given over there. If anything is wrong, you may not be able to get this. So please check it properly. Code first, model demo. This is your application name. Inside that DB context, inside that employee initializer. Okay. So now again, come back to the controller, right click with MVC5, department, context. Okay. Let me rebuild it. So department ID, department name, and next is in the employee, department ID and department. Correct. As we are getting that number of errors, so one more instance is there for the entity framework. Let me remove this, as I have already added the provider here. So here in this case, I have got already the provider. The second provider, if we add it, it is going to show us the error. So now let us come back to controller, add new controller, choose MVC5 controller with the views using entity framework. Click on add. Now choose first department and the data context class as automatically it is going to show you the reference. Choose this employee DB context. Department's controller will be added. It is going to prepare all the entire controller. So here you can see that it has taken the reference automatically. There is an index page, details, index action result method, details action result method, create with HTTP post, edit with HTTP post, delete confirmed with HTTP post, and last one is dispose. All these things are going to come automatically. Now let me go to the controller once again, add new controller, as I have already added for the department. Choose now the employee. Again, reference same. Again, it is going to take it as employee controller. It is going to prepare all the things, and automatically it is going to show you the same things: index, details, edit, delete, everything. So let me save this and I'll just close it. I'll close all the tabs. So in the Solution Explorer, now we can see that I have got a home controller, employees controller, as well as departments controller. And in the views, you can see create, delete, details, detail, edit, as well as index for the departments. And we have got to create, delete, details, edit, index for the employees. Fine. So now let me come back to the index page of the home. Let me minimize all the things. Okay. So we have already got the employees controller, index is there. And here, these all index pages are already going to get added automatically. So I will come back to the home controller index page. This information with respect to home page is already there. Let me remove off all the things. I would like to add now few things. H2. This is entity framework. Six 0.0 code first demo using MVC 5. Then let me break this and then add HTML dot action link, list of employees, and what is the index name? It is the first page, index of employees. This is my first hyperlink, and this is my second hyperlink, list of departments and departments. Okay. So let me save this. By default, it is going to show me home index itself. I have not changed anything in the route config file. Now we can see that I have got two hyperlinks, list of employees and list of departments. We are expecting the items which we have added it in the employee initializer. So just click on this list of employees. Sometimes it may happen that you will be getting the errors because you will not be giving the correct assembly name. Again, I'll show you how to set the assembly name. So here I'm getting all the employee list which I have added and list of departments which we have added. So here, suppose if you want to create any new departments, you can create it. It is going to ask you the department name. Let me take it as literature. Create. One more department name is created. If you want to edit something, you can edit it. If you want the details about this, back to list. If I want to delete it, all the operations are possible. Here for the delete alone, it is going to ask you the confirmation. You can click on delete. It is getting deleted. Similarly, for the employees, you can create new employee. Sunidhi, age is 25. Choose any of the department, click on create. So you'll be getting Sunidhi. If you want to see the details, you can see the details. Edit. I would like to change it to 24. It's getting highlighted. If you want to delete, again it will ask you and delete operation is performed. So one of the standard mistake which we do is in terms of assembly name. So go to your properties. Here for the particular application, you will be having the assembly name. This assembly name should be specified in the web.config file. Otherwise, we will be getting number of errors. So make sure while you are entering the context for the entity framework, you should reference this assembly name properly. If you are giving some other assembly name, then it is not going to execute this employee initializer at all. As well as we should have only one provider for the entity framework. So one more standard provider will be added at the end that we need to check it, either remove it or you can cut and paste that provider over here. So make sure that in your web.config, whatever the things I have shown you, all these things should be present. Configuration section, connection string, as well as entity framework. So hope you have enjoyed the entire implementation of code first approach with the MVC 5. Thanks for watching the video. Have a great day ahead. If you have not subscribed yet to my channel, please do subscribe and click on the bell icon to get the notifications of my new videos. Thank you, everybody. Take care.